Richician!
Hey YouTube, Richician84 here, and welcome to Q&A number 117. We've got a lot more questions this time, so let's dive right in and kick this off. So we have a few questions here from John Cross, one of which is something I already answered about Red Eye support. One, what is your favourite Yu-Gi-Oh product and not favourite Yu-Gi-Oh product you opened, and can you do a top 10 of your favourite spellcasters? I'm assuming you mean like products, not actual booster sets, but yeah, I think without a doubt my absolute favourite product has to be the Legendary Collections, especially numbers 2 and 3, like they were my favourites. And I loved the Legendary Collections. I wish Konami didn't stop doing them. Alright, yeah, I know we did have the 25th anniversary Legendary Collection where we had the quarter century secret rares, but they don't do them consistently anymore. And I would have loved to have seen like something for Jaden, like Jaden's World, just because, well, big Elemental Hero fan, and it would be cool to see one based on Zexal, Arc 5, and Brains. That would be cool to see. Hopefully they'll do that in the future. Least favourite. I don't know if I have a least favourite product, but I do have a least favourite set, and that's a tie between both Ghosts from the Past sets, 1 and 2. Yeah, I hate those sets so much because I've had a lot of bad luck with them. I mean, I've had other arch nemesis sets in the past. I mean, like Duelist Revolution, like it pretty much never gave me anything except maybe one or two ultra rares. Although in a much later opening I did pull an ultimate rare effect Veiler, so that was cool, but other than that it just hated me. Although not as much as Legendary Duelists 5 and 7, like, yeah, 5 just didn't like me either, because like I said before, I must have opened like almost 100 packs of it and never pulled Evil Hero a dusted gold. Like, that was so annoying. I did get 2 copies of Malicious Bane though, one in my box opening and another in a participation pack. But other than that, I never got a dusted gold, and I had to fork out loads for a playset. Just to play them in Evil Heroes again. And then, well, Legendary Duelist 7 did like me at first. I mean, remember that short opening on Team Sorcerers when I opened, like, the first 7 Legendary Duelist sets and pulled nothing but Ultras from all 4 packs? Well, I guess I must have used up all my luck, because I got some more, hoping to pull the Ghost Rare Winged Dragon of Ra, but I never did. But that wasn't nearly as annoying as never pulling any Ghost Rares from both Ghosts from the Past set. Well, except the one, which was Firewall Dragon, when I did my Ghosts from the Past 1 case opening a couple of years back. But other than that, I just never got any Ghost Rares from any of the packs or the blisters, or a whole tray. Like, it was just annoying, and it was just a waste of money. Like, I didn't even pull any of the ultras that I wanted, well, except maybe one. I think the only card from the set I wanted that I did pull was Deco Talker Heat Soul, but that's it. Other than that, I didn't get Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon, Boral End, Neos Kluger. Like, ended up having to try and trade for those and buy them, and I must have spent an extra £1,000, like, just to get all the ghost rares from Ghosts from the Past too. So as a result, I just wasted my money buying those packs. Yeah, and I hate both Ghosts from the Past sets for that reason. Like, plus the fact that other people were pulling ghosts was just a kick in the teeth. And it was like, oh, come on. Why can't I get ghost rares from those packs? Yeah. Fuck Ghosts from the Past 1 and 2 and everything they stand for. I mean, other people might have liked those sets, but I hate them just because of the amount of bad luck I've had with them. As for Top's 10 spellcasters, well, I technically already did this like 3 years ago. Well, more specifically, I did a top 20 favourite spellcaster list on the Team Sorcerers channel. But then again, it's not surprising that you would have asked this, considering it has been a little while now. But yeah, the video is there on Team Sorcerers. Just go to the top 5 or above playlist and you'll find it. So, did you have a Dark Paladin deck at one point? I had one at multiple points actually. First it was like way back in the day during both the October 2004 and April 2005 formats. Then it came back for some guest appearances after that, like back in 2010, 2012, and the GOAT version came back in 2013 briefly. And then I think I brought it back properly in 2015. No, I definitely did, because I had a GOAT game with Neo Nexodus during my 7th Margate trip. I think I did keep it around since then. Now, of course, I don't have it anymore, and the only GOAT decks I do have are Dark Magician and Warriors. That's it. Although, I do still have both a current format and a GOAT format Dark Paladin deck still on Edo Pro. Then that question I already asked. Then last question, do you think any Yu-Gi-Oh archetype needs support? Well, again, I kind of already answered this. I mean, to answer your question, yes I do, but just the other day I did do a top 5 video on archetypes that need more support. So that'll be in my personal top 5 or above playlist, so go find it and check it out, and that's it. And also, next time, if you do have multiple questions for me, can you please put them into one comment? Otherwise it's just spam. Anyway, next questions are from Matt and Alison Welch. 1. This is a continuation of the first question we asked last time. If Yugi became a bigger part in GX, what do you see him doing? Becoming a teacher, coach, chancellor, or anything you can think of? Well, I don't see him becoming a teacher or a chancellor, because I don't see him being in that position. A coach, definitely, maybe, or just still being on the professional dueling circuit. I think being on the still being a pro duelist is more likely what he'll be doing, and would be in televised events, as you see in various scenes throughout Season 2 of GX. I mean, being a coach could be a possibility as well. Maybe even have sort of a mentor role. Kind of like how Tommy Oliver in Power Rangers was in Power Rangers Dino Thunder. Um, yeah, Dino Thunder was like the only recent Power Rangers series that I watched all the way through. Um, but that's another story. So yeah, it would definitely be a coach role or still a pro duelist role. Um, but then again, it's probably best he didn't really show up that much. I mean, even though he's my favourite character, him being there kind of takes away from takes the attention away from the main characters, you know, Jaden, Chaz, Zane, and all that stuff. Like even if he like had a reoccurring role. 2. Out of Yugi's friends, which one do you wish appeared in the GX anime the most? I'd have loved to have seen Joey and maybe Duke. Bring Dungeon Dice Monsters to Duel Academy for those who want to become game designers, like what Yugi wanted to do in Dark Side of Dimensions, even though that's based off the manga story, not the anime story. I think I would probably say Joey, because there was one point while GX was still on air where I would have loved to have seen Joey make an appearance and duel against Jaden. Kind of brought about from the duel between Jaden and Demitri. It would have been interesting to see Jaden's elemental heroes take on the likes of Flame Swordsman, Red Eyes Black Dragon, Guilford the Lightning, and Jinzo. Even though he did already go up against Jinzo in an earlier episode. Because then, of course, Red Eyes Black Dragon did make an appearance when the card was in possession of Atticus as Night Shroud. Of course, that being a different copy. Yeah, that's all I can think of, really. I was also thinking about Kaiba, but just because of that memory I had of wanting Joey to appear, I'm definitely going to say Joey. Oh, and then we've got some talk about Sword Soul here. But yeah, the next questions are from Sparkman, but before I read those, there was a comment about Sword Soul. He says, I didn't know Sword Soul was your most hated deck out of all my decks. Then Webbers5 says, I think being Longyun for game did that to the entire community. Then he said, it's only 1200, not that much. It is when you're under 12 and they simply do burn for game. Well, then just don't let them do it then. Yeah, that's easier said than done, by the way. Just because there's an out doesn't mean you're always going to see it. I'm just saying that, not to mention it's annoying when time on the round has been called, like, which is one of the reasons why I stopped playing in tournaments. But yeah, damn right, Sword Soul is my most hated deck that you have. It would have originally been Zombie Horde, purely because when we first met and duelled, that's what you played, and that's what I was dreading, because at the time I was playing Magician Girls, and Zombie Horde is a terrible matchup for Magician Girls, because Zombie Horde turns everything into a zombie, and makes things like Chocolate Magician Girl and Spellbook of Knowledge useless. Unless, of course, I can send a spellbook card from the hand, of course. But obviously you don't have that deck anymore. So it would go to Sword Soul. Prank Kids is the other deck you have that I absolutely hate, I'm not gonna lie. But as much as I hate Prank Kids, I would much rather deal with them than Sword Soul any day. So yeah, I'm gonna have to side with Weber's 5 on the Longian debate, and the fact that the community hates Sword Soul. No disrespect to you, of course, but I can't stand that deck. I mean, it's among my top 20 hated decks of all time for a reason. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's get on with the questions. 1. What are some of your favourite obscure cards? Cards that see very little to no play or don't get talked about much. One of mine is D-Boys. Not only is the card is the art sick, with some fiends chilling with the boys, lol, but it was part of a really fun and very janky Duel Links deck. The idea was you ran D-Boys and let them get destroyed, their effect to make you pay life points, which then triggers the skill Destiny Draw. That is interesting. You can then use Destiny Draw to either add Destiny Hero Plasma or the Atmosphere to your hand. I forget what the Atmosphere does, I'll have to look at it in a second, and then suck up any of your opponent's monsters. You can also run some token generators like Fires of Doomsday and Mecha Phantom Beast Hamstrat to help with more tribute fodder. The deck wasn't very good at all, but it was very fun and gimmicky, which is what matters. Right, before I answer this question, let me just double check and see what the Atmosphere's effect was. Or is. Oh, here we are. Can't be normal summon. Set must be special summon by banishing 2 monsters you control and 1 from your graveyard. Okay. Once per turn, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls, equip that target to this card. Okay, so it's just basically relinquished with a sort of simple summoning requirement. You can only equip 1 monster at a time, and it gains attack and defense equal to that. Okay, that actually does make sense. That is interesting. Well, there are 2 cards that I can think of off the top of my head, one of which is Needlewall. Now, I did talk about this in a recent top 10 video, top 10 cards I miss playing in my Dark Magician deck, and Needlewall was one of them. It was something I did play back in the day, like more in the October 2005 format. I thought it would be a weird replacement for Mirror Force, seeing as it was banned at the time. But yeah, it was just a fun card, and I do like dice roll cards. Not so much Snipe Hunter like in the GX era. Shit, that's actually another card that I used to hate. I don't know why I didn't think to put that on my list of top 10 cards that I used to hate. Anyway, getting back on topic, I did love Needlewall. It was just so much fun. Like, the more monsters the opponent had, the more chance it would get popped by Needlewall. So yeah, that was fun. But I think it came out though when I made some drastic changes to the deck, like some point before the April 2006 list went into effect. But yeah, that was fun. Another obscure tech that I ran was Ancient Telescope in Spirals. I mean, it makes sense, using it to look at the top 5 cards of the opponent's deck, because that way it gives me knowledge of what the opponent's top card is, so I can use things like Drone, the Link 2, Spiral Tough, Spiral Super Agent, of course, and then I'd be able to see what their next draws are after that. Unless, of course, they play like a search card or a special summon from deck card, which would change the order and no longer give me knowledge. But I like using Ancient Telescope. yeah, it was a lot of fun. I only played one copy though, because I needed better cards, but it was a really big help in the deck. 2. This one is really simple. Favourite video games console? Mine is a tie between the Nintendo 64 and GameCube. A lot of childhood memories with both those machines. Both of them had excellent multiplayer games too, like Mario Kart and Super Smash Bros. I do enjoy those games. Um, well, uh, I would have to say the Dreamcast. Definitely the Dreamcast. I did like the other Sega consoles, especially since I grew up in a Sega household. But I feel like the Dreamcast was where it was at. There's been so many amazingly fun games that I just loved playing during my teenage years. Sonic Adventures 1 and 2, Soul Calibur. Ooh, and I've just noticed I still have South Park Rally. Yeah, I've got my Dreamcast games like over here on the shelf. Crazy Taxi, 18 Wheeler, Quake 3 Arena, Marvel vs. Capcom, House of the Dead 2. Oh, I've still got Grand Theft Auto 2. How interesting. Unreal Tournament, Resident Evil Code Veronica. It was just great. I mean, there were some cool games also on the original Xbox and the Xbox Please Fix Me. But for me, the Dreamcast and the Sega consoles have more nostalgia for me. Well, well, maybe more so the Game Gear, the Master System, and the Mega Drive, or Genesis if you're American. Next question is from NordicWolf. Could you have a duel between your hero deck and your Dark Magician versus Rockets and Blackwings, Battle of the Worlds? I assume you do mean my Elemental hero deck, but I'm really sorry, but I'm afraid I can't do this request because I don't actually have my rockets anymore. I sold them to John, and at this point I've sold almost all of my deck cores. I say almost because, of course, I still have Dark Magician, Element Heroes, Rainbow Neos, Magician Girls, and my cats. Like, they're the only 5 current format decks that I'm keeping forever. Which just leaves Blackwings and Vampires. My Blackwings will be going to Weber's 5. We just need to meet up and make the exchange. Yeah, Weber's 5. Are you about at TTR tomorrow night? If so, maybe we can do it then. Or I guess I will have to come down to Dead Uni at some point, which will be the easiest way to make the exchange. But I guess we can still discuss it more later on. And my Vampires are the other one that's left, and that's going to one of the guys who works at Tabletop Republic. Once he's paid, he's going to buy them off me. Yeah, that's pretty much it, and everything else has gone, basically. Although I do have some cards from those cores that I've kept for myself. I will do a video about it at a later date. But yeah, that's the issue with requests. I mean, if I don't have the deck, I can't physically do it. Yeah, same goes for anyone else involved in my requests. I mean, if they don't have the deck, then they can't do it either. doing these, doing 1v1s on Edo Pro, or Dueling Book, of course, is a workaround. Um, but yeah, the thing is, like, if it involves something that I don't know how to play, then I can't really do it. And obviously, if it involves a deck that I hate, I'm most certainly not gonna do it. No way, not happening. I refuse to play it myself, and I refuse to play against it. Um, uh, uh, yeah, that wraps that up. And then the last two questions, speaking of Weber's 5, are from Weber's 5. 1. The 6 Yu-Gi-Oh! Protagonists are under mind control. You can save 2 of them to fight alongside you, and have to face the rest. Who do you save? I feel like 4 against 3 is kind of unfair, though. I feel like I should have someone else at our side, just to even things out. But yeah, to answer your question, one of the protagonists I would save is Yugi, of course, for 2 reasons. One, he's my favourite protagonist, and B, well, he's the king of games. Well, he never loses, well, except against Raphael, which was his only legitimate win. Like, I don't really count the others, because Pegasus just did him dirty. Kaiba kind of did him dirty on top of the castle, by threatening to jump off if Yugi won. He could have won against Rebecca, but then of course he just outright surrendered. So yeah, the loss against Raphael was the only legitimate one. But yeah, other than that, I mean, he's basically unbeatable, and the heart of the cards is just always on his side. And the other 2 would have to be a toss-up between Yusei and Yusaku / Playmaker, purely because out of the remaining 5, I think they're the better duelists. I'm not saying I don't doubt the skills of Jaden, Yuma, and Yuya. It's just that the 3 of them have had more losses than the other 3. I did kind of hate it when they lost, but well, I guess regarding Jaden's losses, it was just plot convenience. But I did kind of hate it when there were duels that Yuma kept losing, and duels that I was hoping Yuya would win, but just didn't. Whereas meanwhile, Yusei and Playmaker have never lost any duels throughout their series, except in flashbacks. Well, more so Playmaker. Now, regarding Yusei, there was his first duel against Kalin, which he actually would have legitimately lost if his duel runner didn't malfunction. So it's not really a perfect record. So this would be a favour. This would go towards. Wait, what are the words I'm looking for? It would go more in favour of Playmaker. However, there's also their big boss monsters to think about. Not their ace monsters, the big boss monsters. I mean, as well, Yusei has Shooting Star Dragon and Shooting Quasar Dragon. I would have said Majestic Star Dragon, but it but it hasn't made as many appearances as Shooting Star Dragon, and well, it does have that drawback of having to return to the extra deck at the end of the turn. But obviously in the first 3 duels that Yusei used it, it was game over, and he won quite easily. Whereas Shooting Star Dragon and Shooting Quasar Dragon are just statistically better. Plus, in this case, for our scenario, it depends which version of Shooting Quasar Dragon Yusei plays. If it's the anime version, where it negates an effect that prevents destruction, then I'd go more towards Playmaker, which I'll get to in a minute. If he's using the real life version of Shooting Quasar Dragon, where it negates anything, that goes more in Yusei's favour. And then we look at Playmaker's 2 big boss monsters, Access Code Talker and Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid. They can both deal with Shooting Star Dragon very easily, because obviously Dark Fluid can just negate any of Shooting Star Dragon's effects, even the attack negating one, whereas Access Code Talker can just outright pop Shooting Star Dragon without any interruption, due to the fact that none of his effects can be negated. Now, dealing with Quasar is another story, though, because Quasar can potentially interrupt link climbing into either Dark Fluid or Access Code Talker. If by some miracle Yusaku can build up to Access Code without anything being negated, he might have a chance of taking down Quasar. But that would be easier said than done. Although, knowing Playmaker, he is the kind of duelist who would be able to bait and negate out of Quasar, most probably. But it really depends who can set up first. But then again, Yusei has a lot more options than that. He also has Swift Scarecrow. He also has Effect Veiler for disruption. So that would go more towards in his favour. So, after some careful thinking, or as careful thinking as I could possibly can, I would have to save Yusei, just because he has more stoppage and disruption, and then of course he's got Stardust Dragon at his side as well. Whereas meanwhile, I could back Yusei up. I mean, assuming of course I'm playing my Dark Magician deck, which I would because it's my favourite and best deck. I would use my Solemn Strikes to quite simply negate the summons of Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid or Access Code Talker if need be. And then of course Yugi has protection as well, with Mirror Force, Spellbinding Circle, and Magic Cylinder. Zero Gravity would be a bit iffy though. I mean, it would help against the other protagonists, but obviously it wouldn't do much good against Playmaker, because obviously Link monsters can't change battle positions. But still, I'm very confident that the 3 of us can back each other up and defeat the remaining 4 with not too much of a problem. So yeah, that was a very long answer, but that was my mindset, which I just wanted to explain. 2. From playing 3 TCGs recently, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the only game without a mulligan rule. Digimon allows you 1, Pokemon has unlimited due to needing to have a basic Pokemon in hand to start, but the opponent is allowed to draw cards equal to your mulligans. If Yu-Gi-Oh! Had a mulligan rule, how do you think it should work and what drawbacks should it have? That is an excellent question, and I have sometimes wondered why Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't have a mulligan rule. I feel like it should have one, considering the amount of times that players, including myself, have started out with really, really bad hands, particularly when I've played Legendary Knights, Light Rays, and Prismagician, and Random All-Stars, of course, and like, oh my god, this hand sucks, or no, I don't want my hard and darling Cobra in my hand, what the hell? So this was really hard to think of, but what I'm thinking is just, I think what should happen is both players can have the option of mulliganing at the very start of the duel. I don't think it should happen like after turn 1. I feel like that would be a bit ridiculous and complicated. And they can only have 1 mulligan, just 1, like right at the start. Like if they don't like their opening hand, then they have to put their entire hand back and draw 5 basically. So basically they're playing reload right at the start. And just to balance it out even more, we should also say effects that would activate when they're drawn are not activated at this time. This means that players wouldn't be able to kick off effects like Mahard or the Fortune Fairies. Otherwise, that would just be too abusable for them. And especially if one day Konami brings out an archetype with similar effects of monsters that happen when they're drawn, and it becomes a broken, overpowered meta archetype. So yeah, that's the rule I'm thinking of, and that's honestly the best way I can think of to make it balanced. And that is it for questions in this episode. Thank you very much for your guys' questions, very cool ones as always, and if you've got any other questions you want to ask me, post them in the comments down below. And remember, I do these episodes every Tuesday afternoon or evening, UK time, so be sure to get your questions in before then, so that you don't miss out. Thanks again, stay safe, and I'll catch you guys later. See ya. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the Richician YouTube channel.